Good morning. Everyone have a fun, safe evening in Las Vegas last night? No problems? The NACA Charitable Foundation did a nice job. Kelly Richardson, apparently he's got a second job as an auctioneer. The live auction was a huge success. Over $7,000 were brought in. And we didn't get a tally yet on the poker tournament. And usually Trish wins, but I think she didn't win this time. She let her son take second place, though, so that was pretty cool. So congratulations there, Kobe. We are on the path to make our charity a $1 million charity, and that is the goal that we set out this year, and we're going to continue to focus on that. It gives so much back to the communities where our facilities are and where we work, and it really elevates the work that we do, making a difference in them. So this morning, I have the honor to introduce the Acting Administrator, Dan Elwell. Some of you have known Dan and worked for him for many years because he's been in the industry, aviation industry, in many different jobs. He has been a true professional, an advocate for the air traffic controllers, and is always looking to improve the aviation system. Dan was named Deputy Administrator in June of 2017, and we are very pleased that he was called up to be the acting administrator when Michael Werther left, because it was a seamless transition of all the good work that we were actually working together on, and he has been an advocate of continuing to work together. Together, the FAA and NACA have built a successful collaborative relationship that transformed the agency into a better place to work and a better place for the aviation system. In addition to his aviation industry experience in Washington, D.C., Acting Administrator Elwell was a veteran pilot for American Airlines for 16 years. While an MD-80 captain, he also served as the Managing Director for International and Government Affairs for American Airlines. He's a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. Go ahead, Air Force, huh? I really had to tell you to do that? Come on now. He retired from the Air Force as a lieutenant colonel with more than 6,000 hours combined civilian and military flight time for the United States Air Force and the reserves, including combat during Operation Desert Storm. We continue to look forward to working with Acting Administrator Elwell, and whatever capacity the White House decides to keep him in, and to continue to make the airspace the safest, most efficient, and diverse airspace in the world. We had him speak at NACA in Washington in May, and we put a video together, and he was kind of tickled by the video, so we actually did another one this time, so please play the video.
The tower cab or the center, we all know that the most calm, benign day can turn on a dime into a life and death situation. Ensuring safety is a never-ending task. The FAA and NACA are doing everything possible to drive down safety risk. We have to continue to collect and share safety data, identify and target the highest risk areas, and work with our stakeholders to address the problems. Now, over the past 10 years, FAA controllers have submitted more than 147,000 ATSAP reports. From these reports, we have put in place 181 corrective actions. That's 181 more ways to extend the safety margin so that accidents don't happen.
Please give a warm welcome to the Acting FAA Administrator, Mr. Dan Elwell.
Thank you, Paul, on those, those videos. Oh my gosh. And I saw the red tie and I thought, please, please, don't be wearing the same tie. I have two of them, so it's a 50-50 chance. No, thank you, Paul. And congratulations, everyone, on what's sure to be another successful conference. And also thanks, or congratulations on being elected to your 4th term as NATCA president. Unprecedented. Unprecedented. I think you broke the record when you were elected to your 3rd term. So, but it's well-deserved. And aviation has been well-served by your and Trish's leadership over the years. And I'm happy that will continue. So good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you today. By now, everyone's heard the news, the big news. President Trump recently signed a new 5-year FAA reauthorization bill. And that's the longest we've had since 1982. I was 5 years old. This is a big deal, not only for the FAA, but for the aviation industry as a whole. And it's not a magic bullet. It doesn't solve every single problem facing the agency. Can I stop for 1 second? Is that echo, you all hearing the echo, or is it just me? Good. No, really, that is good. Not for me, but good for you. We still have to contend with the appropriations process. And that is not an easy thing to contend with. But it does give us a clear vision for the next 5 years and a roadmap for navigating the future that's speeding our way. Emerging technologies are on all of our minds. It's the theme of today's sessions, and it's at the forefront of the FAA's new reauthorization bill as well. And one of the things I'm most excited about is the mandate we've received to continue our work on unmanned aircraft. You know, when I first got my pilot's license, I never thought I'd be sharing the skies with drones the size of a football. But that's where we are today. These aircraft have almost unlimited potential, but they also present us with a unique set of challenges. And this isn't news to anyone here. You're already responsible for monitoring thousands of manned aircraft on your screens every day. So how are thousands of drones going to safely fit into that same system? It's a valid question, and it's one of the FAA's been working on for controllers and industry to answer over the last few years. Now, we've already automated how drone operators get permission to fly in controlled airspace, and we're laying the groundwork for a comprehensive unmanned traffic management system. We've authorized low-risk small drone flights and created a performance-based waiver and exemption process to allow more advanced operations. And Secretary Chow launched the UAS Integration Pilot Program to let us work with local governments and private industry on how best to expand unmanned operations beyond what's allowed by current regulations today. And just about every week brings with it an exciting update from one of our pilot program sites. From delivering popsicles in Blacksburg, Virginia, to baiting feral hog traps. That's right, feral hog traps in central Oklahoma to aiding law enforcement in San Diego, California. There are important steps forward. These are important steps forward, steps that bring drones closer to just being a routine operator in our airspace. But there are still critical hurdles that need to be cleared before integration becomes a reality. And the new reauthorization bill is going to help us do just that. It closes a loophole that prevented the FAA from requiring remote identification on model aircraft. So we'll soon be moving ahead on a rulemaking that will allow us to identify every drone in our airspace and who is operating it. The bill also gives new authority to the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security to take action against any drone being used by bad actors or for malicious intent. And taken together, these provisions address key concerns from our national security and law enforcement partners, and they're the key to unlocking routine drone operations at night and over people. Now, drones aren't the only new entrants addressed in the FAA reauth bill. Commercial space, also a high priority, which isn't surprising when you consider that every year is another record breaker for commercial space launches. Now, we've traditionally treated these operations like, special occasions, with controllers blocking off huge swaths of airspace for a single launch. Well, that's not going to fly much longer. The FAA licensed 32 launches and 3 re-entries in fiscal year 2018. And demand is only going to keep growing. So we need to move forward toward full integration for these activities. And Congress gets it. They authorized a substantial increase in commercial space funding to the tune of 236% over the next 5 years. And they also instructed the FAA to create an Office of Spaceports. And they endorsed the Trump administration's approach to streamlining processes and embracing a more performance-based framework. This will significantly simplify commercial space licensing and enable novel operations. Allowing innovation to thrive is a priority for President Trump, Vice President Pence, and Secretary Chow. And this new bill reaffirms that commitment. It even addresses supersonic technology, which is something most folks haven't seriously thought about in years. In fact, tomorrow is 15 years to the day since the last Concorde flight, 15 years. But interest in moving faster than the speed of sound did not retire with the fleet. Boeing recently unveiled its first concept designs for a supersonic aircraft that could travel from New York to London in 2 hours. And there are companies out there, Boom being one of them, that believe they can do that for profit, make a viable business concern with that kind of operation. So there's no question the next generation of this technology is coming, and the FAA intends to be ready for it. The new bill empowers us to be a global leader in the development of international supersonic aircraft policies, regulations, and standards. And we're working on 2 rules, one that will study noise level requirements for supersonic aircraft, and another that will streamline the authorization process for conducting supersonic test flights in the United States. Now, all of these things I just mentioned, they barely scratch the surface of what's in the FAA reauthorization bill. It's a massive piece of legislation that's filled with new initiatives and mandates that we're still trying to get our arms around. And we're going to have to tackle all of that in addition to our ongoing work to modernize our nation's airspace. And we're committed to making sure you are using the best equipment out there in a system that's as efficient as possible. And there's a lot to look forward to in the months ahead. The installation of Datacom tower services was a huge success, a nationwide deployment 2 years ahead of schedule. Now comes the next step. Datacom en route service, which will allow controllers to, as you know, digitally reroute aircraft while they're in flight. We're standing up key sites in Memphis, Indianapolis, and Kansas City that should be operational before the end of this year. And the information we gain from these trials will help us bring full Datacom en route services to all 20 of our continental US centers within the next 5 years. We also continue to raise awareness about the January 1st, 2020 deadline for equipping with ADS-B out. As you all know, ADS-B is a game changer for controllers. It gives a much more accurate picture of the airspace you're monitoring, but to fully benefit, everyone has to be using it. Fortunately, with the mandate about 14 months from taking effect, more and more aircraft are equipping every day. And the FAA, to help things along, we recently relaunched the popular incentive program to encourage even more people to install. It's mostly for the GA community. We've also started testing the new terminal flight data manager at select sites. I've had a chance to see a couple of them in some of the tours I've been doing around the system. And TFDM, as you know, is an integrated tower flight data automation system that will improve controller situational awareness. And we'll begin rolling out these capabilities fully operationally in 2020. So I think it's pretty clear that we've got a lot of work to do over the next 5 years. And if the FAA is going to be successful, we're going to need all of you more than ever before. NATCA is an invaluable partner to the FAA. Our nation's air traffic controllers are on the front lines of our airspace system, and your expertise and professionalism are an essential piece of our unprecedented safety record. When it counts, you stand up. You step up individually when extraordinary moments arise in the tower. Now look at the Seattle controller who calmly handled the Horizon Air incident in August. Look at the folks being honored at tomorrow's Archie League Awards, which I'm really bummed that I'm going to miss. I was hoping I'd be able to get to that tomorrow, stay an extra day. But you step up collectively when the aviation community needs to come together to tackle pressing safety issues. And look at the Safety Summit on wrong surface events we held a few months ago. And this is one of the top 5 hazards to our airspace. And having renewed focus on this issue from our controllers is going to help move the needle in the right direction and a lot sooner than it would otherwise. We're even working together to find a technological solution by implementing a modification to the ASDX software that alerts controllers when an arriving aircraft is not aligned with the intended runway. This spirit of partnership and willingness to embrace technology is what's going to help us safely integrate drones, commercial space vehicles, supersonic aircraft, and modern air traffic control equipment into our airspace. And that's what it all comes down to, safety. It's the thing we've all got in common, whether we work for the government or the industry, whether you're a controller or a pilot. Safety, it's the thing we do better than anyone else. And no matter how flashy an emerging technology may be, safety is the thing we're not going to compromise on. We fought long and hard to become the world's gold standard. And that's not something we're going to take a step back on. So just let me close today by simply saying thank you. Thank you for always being our partners in safety. We've got an exciting few years ahead of us, challenging but exciting. And with NATCA by our side, I know we'll reach new heights of safety and innovation. Thank you very much.